The Galactic Science Academy was the most prestigious institution in known space. For 10,000 years, they had studied the universe, cataloging knowledge and advancing understanding. Their libraries held the collected wisdom of 1,000 species. A derelict ship was found drifting near a dead star. It was small, battered, and clearly ancient. Scans showed it was of human design. The scientific community was mildly interested. Humans were a primitive species. Their technology was basic, unremarkable. This ship was probably a relic, nothing more. A young scientist named Lyra was assigned to lead the investigation. She was brilliant, curious, and eager to prove herself. She saw this as an opportunity to make her name. Lyra and her team boarded the derelict. It was dark, cold, seemingly dead. They expected to find nothing of value. In the engine room, they found something unexpected. A power source unlike anything in their databases. It was small, simple-looking, but radiating energy far beyond its apparent capacity. Lyra's scanners could not identify the technology. It did not match any known physics. It should not work. But it did. They took samples, ran tests. The results were impossible. The device was generating energy from nothing, violating fundamental laws of thermodynamics. Lyra's team argued. Some said the scanners were wrong. Others suggested the device was broken, malfunctioning. No one wanted to admit they did not understand. Lyra decided to take the device back to the academy. They needed more advanced equipment. They needed to understand. At the academy, the device was studied by the greatest minds in the galaxy. Scientists from 100 species examined it, ran every test, analyzed every reading. Their conclusions were unanimous. The technology was impossible. It should not exist. But it did. And it changed everything. The device was studied around the clock. Scientists worked in shifts, running test after test. Every result confirmed the same thing. It generated energy from nothing. It violated conservation of energy. It should not be possible. Theories spread like fire. Maybe it drew energy from another dimension. Maybe it tapped into vacuum energy. Maybe it was a hoax, an elaborate trick. The scientific community divided. Some insisted the device must be a fraud. Their understanding of physics was complete. Nothing could violate it. Others were fascinated. They had never seen anything like this. They were desperate to understand. The head of the academy, an ancient Drath named Archmaster Velos, took personal interest. He had studied the universe for 1,000 years. He had never seen anything like this. Velos asked the obvious question. If humans have this technology, why are they considered primitive? Why haven't they used it? They searched for answers. They found records of human history. Humans had possessed this technology for centuries. They just never used it for war. They used it for power, for transportation, for everyday life. The realization hit hard. Humans were not primitive. They were advanced. They simply chose not to weaponize their knowledge. They chose peace. Some leaders were terrified. If humans had this power, they could be unstoppable. What if they decided to use it for conquest? Others were fascinated. They wanted to learn from humans, to understand their science, their philosophy, their way of life. Velos decided to send a delegation to Earth, to meet with human scientists, to learn the truth. The delegation traveled to Earth. They were nervous, excited, uncertain. They did not know what they would find. They reached Earth. Blue, beautiful, peaceful. They were greeted by human scientists who were calm, friendly, and eager to share. The humans explained their technology. It was not magic. It was not impossible. It was simply based on principles the galaxy had never discovered. And as they explained, the alien scientists realized that everything they thought they knew about physics was wrong. Human scientists explained their technology. It was based on a fundamental understanding of the universe that other species had never achieved. They had discovered how to tap into zero-point energy, how to manipulate gravity, how to bend space itself. The alien scientists were stunned. This was not just an advancement. It was a revolution. Everything they knew about physics was incomplete. Their textbooks would need to be rewritten. Lyra asked the question everyone was thinking. Why didn't you share this? Why did you let the galaxy think you were primitive? The human scientist smiled. Because we didn't want to be conquerors. We didn't want to rule. We just wanted to live in peace. If we revealed our technology, others would fear us. They would attack us. We chose to hide. We chose to be underestimated. The aliens understood. Humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They were simply peaceful. They had chosen to be underestimated rather than feared. They were shown human cities, human homes, human lives. They saw children playing in parks powered by clean energy. Families eating meals prepared with technology that seemed like magic. Couples walking through streets lit by lights that never dimmed. Ordinary life, powered by extraordinary technology. They saw the applications. Clean energy that could power a world. Instant transportation that could cross continents in seconds. Medical miracles that could heal any disease. Humans had used their knowledge to create utopia, not weapons. The aliens left Earth with new respect. They had learned something profound. True power was not in destruction. It was in creation. In peace. In life. They returned to the academy. They shared what they had learned. The scientific community was transformed. They began studying human physics, collaborating with human scientists. A golden age began. Technology advanced faster than ever. Species worked together. Peace reigned across the galaxy. But in the darkness, others watched. A faction of military leaders from an aggressive species saw the human technology not as a gift, but as a threat. They wanted to destroy Earth before it became too powerful. A group of military leaders formed a secret alliance. They would attack Earth. They would destroy the human threat before it grew too powerful. They built a fleet in secret. Thousands of ships. The best weapons. The strongest shields. They would strike without warning. Someone leaked the plan to the Academy. Lyra heard of it. Her blood ran cold. She had to warn Earth. She traveled to Earth as fast as she could. She told the human leaders what was coming. The humans were calm. They were not surprised. They had been watching. They always watched. They prepared. Not for war. For defense. They activated systems hidden for centuries. Systems the galaxy had never seen. The secret fleet arrived at Earth. Thousands of ships. They surrounded the planet. They prepared to fire. Space filled with human ships. Thousands of them. They were not warships. They were something else. Something the invaders could not understand. They did not attack. They simply stopped the invaders. Weapons failed. Engines died. The fleet was helpless, drifting in silence. A human voice spoke. Calm. Clear. We do not want to fight. We never have. But we will defend ourselves. Leave now. Never return. Tell your leaders. Tell everyone. The fleet fled. They did not look back. They returned home and told their story. The conspiracy was exposed. The military leaders were arrested. Peace was restored. Humans were hailed as peaceful, powerful, and merciful. Years passed. The galaxy learned to live with human technology, to collaborate, to grow together. But a new question emerged. If humans could do this, what else could they do? What else were they hiding? Humans became partners with the galaxy. They shared their technology freely. Not as conquerors. Not as rulers. As friends. As teachers. A new era of peace and prosperity began. Worlds that had once feared each other now collaborated. Knowledge flowed freely. Problems that had seemed impossible were solved. Scientists from 100 species came to Earth to study, to learn, to understand. Humans taught them not just science, but philosophy, the value of peace, the power of creation over destruction. A young alien asked a human scientist, "Why did you hide for so long? Why didn't you share your knowledge earlier?" The scientist smiled. Because the galaxy wasn't ready. Fear would have led to war. We waited until the time was right. Until people were ready to listen. The young alien nodded. So you were protecting us. From ourselves. The scientist nodded. Exactly. That's what guardians do. Years later, Lyra sat with her old friend, the human scientist who had first explained their technology. They watched the stars together, as they had done so many times before. Do you ever regret it? Lyra asked. All those years of hiding. The human shook her head. No. We did what we had to do. We protected ourselves. We protected the galaxy. And now we have peace. Lyra nodded. You taught us that true power is not in what you can destroy. It's in what you can create. The human smiled. That's the only lesson that matters. They sat together, watching the stars. Two friends. Two species. One understanding. And somewhere, in the darkness, human technology powered 1,000,000 peaceful worlds. Creating life. Not destroying it. Because that was what humans did.